It's a thread response video today, folks. I'm going to jump on a thread started by my good pal Brian over at Embryonic Robot. Today we're going to talk about some songs about Toronto. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. As I mentioned off the top, I got to jump on a thread from my good pal Brian over at Embryonic Robot. He's done a couple videos in the last week or so about songs about Toronto. And as I like to think I'm the Ben Rankins of Canada, the ambassador of Canadian music in the VC, obviously I got to jump on this, right? I mean, I'm close to Toronto. So I said to Brian, I got some good ones, and I do. So I'll leave a link to Brian's video. Please go check out those. And if you're not familiar with Embryonic Robot, please check out Brian's channel. The man is an encyclopedia, so you learn something every day. Let's get to it. Okay, I got to start with the low-hanging fruit. Why not? Okay, Blue Jays. On many levels, this is stupidly easy, of course. The Toronto Blue Jays, my beloved baseball team. This is our anthem. This is the team's theme song, and has been since about 1983, I think, which is when this 45 came out, coincidentally. So yes, it's about Toronto's baseball team, but more importantly, I think for the context of Brian's thread, the song itself is actually about going to see a game at Exhibition Stadium, which was the original home of the Jays on the grounds of the Canadian National Exhibition. It's no longer there. It was torn down in 1989 and replaced with what is now the Rogers Centre. It was a terrible ballpark. It was a football stadium that was repurposed to be a baseball stadium. Terrible venue. Saw some games there as a kid, but so this song makes some references to that. For any soccer fans out there, or football fans, Toronto FC, our professional soccer team, and the Toronto Argonauts, our professional football team, play at BMO Field, which is on the site of where the original Exhibition Stadium was. Not that anybody cares. Okay, when we're talking about Toronto, and by the way, for my American friends, it's not Toronto. No, Toronto. Turono. Toronto. You sound like an American when you say Toronto. Anyway, when we're talking about Toronto, obviously, Toronto natives and my favorite band, Blue Rodeo, they have many songs that are Toronto related. So this is, again, for me, the expert on this band, Low Hanging Fruit. There's a song in this album from 2000, which, by the way, I think is their best album, but it's probably their most underrated album and no one pays attention to it. The Days in Between. There's a song in here called Sad Nights, and it references Toronto. It says, walked you to the corner, stood beside the bus, and tears rolled down our faces as the driver stared at us. Typical summer, that time of year when you go back to Toronto and I stay here. It's not about Toronto, it's about New York City. Before Blue Rodeo was Blue Rodeo, Jim and Greg. That's Greg. That's Jim. Two founders of this band. Before they were in Blue Rodeo, they had a band called Fly to France, and they were based in New York City, trying to make a go at becoming successful musicians, and it was not successful. But they lived down there and were trying to make a go of it. And this song is about Jim's wife coming down for a visit, as I guess she did frequently, and it was about her having to go back to her life in Toronto while her husband was still trying to make it as a musician in New York. So it references Toronto, but it's not about Toronto. Got a couple Blue Rodeo numbers here. Off of 2005's Are You Ready? So I shouldn't cover up the title. There's a song called Beverly Street. Funny enough, it's not on the vinyl because there are 2 songs left off the vinyl but are on the CD due to time constraints. There's a song called Beverly Street, and it goes, "A crowded room on Beverly, a party for the rent. You were sitting casually with a few of your fabulous friends. I asked you what your name was, but you just turned and laughed." It's about an apartment on Beverly Street, which is an area near downtown. I guess I'm not terribly familiar with that area of town, but I guess Jim or Greg or somebody they knew had an apartment there. I don't actually know who this song is about, but Beverly Street. And moving to arguably maybe their biggest song of all time, or one of, I guess Try is maybe the biggest, off of 5 Days in July, Hasn't Hit Me Yet. Now, while it doesn't specifically mention Toronto, the inference is that's what it's about. The famous, it's a famous sing-along song that everyone sings at all their concerts. And in fact, when they do it, Greg comes out to the front of the stage, plays the first chord, the audience sings the first verse, the first chorus without a note from the band, and then the band kicks in. And it's great because everyone knows every word of this song. But for the purposes of those who are not familiar with this song, it says, "I stand transfixed before this streetlight, watching the snow fall on this cold December night, and out in the middle of Lake Ontario, the same snow is falling on the deep silent water, the great dark wonder, into the waves of my heart." You get that picture of Greg standing under a streetlight as the snow is falling and thinking about the snow falling on Lake Ontario. These guys lived in Toronto. Greg lives just outside of Toronto now. So conceivably that's what this is referencing. So a little more abstract, but relevant, I think. Moving away from Blue Rodeo. And I know many of you are going, "Oh, thank God." What are you going to do? Okay. 2007, Cuff the Duke put out this great album called Sidelines of the City. They're a great country rock band. They were active for about 10 years. They play a few shows every year. They got a few shows coming up this year, but they're not actively touring or recording or anything, which is a shame because I absolutely love this band, and this is probably their best album in my mind. Nearly impossible to find on vinyl. But there's a song in here called Confessions from a Parkdale Basement. Parkdale is a neighborhood in Toronto, just east of High Park, just west of downtown. It's bounded by Lake Ontario. Queen Street West runs through the middle of it. It's primarily a residential neighborhood with a bunch of businesses along Queen Street. It's an older neighborhood. But this is a great song, Confessions from a Parkdale Basement. It's a very sort of introspective song that Wayne Petty wrote, but it's cool. It's very wordy. It starts off very acoustic, and then it builds and it builds. And the cool thing is it ends on a single note that is stretched out for over 60 seconds, which you may think sounds bizarre, but it actually works incredibly well. It's a great song, and this is a fantastic sort of old country rock album. So, Confessions from a Parkdale Basement. And since we're talking about the neighborhood of Parkdale, this is Luke Doucette, and this is his album Aloha Manitoba, which came out, I want to say like 2007-ish as well. It's only available on CD. Luke, one of my favorite musicians, incredible guitar player, member of Whitehorse, who I'm going to talk about in a minute. This was one of his solo records, and he has a song in here called Mitzi's. And Mitzi's Cafe was a cafe, restaurant, music place in Parkdale, same neighborhood in Toronto. And the lyrics in this song, "It's a strangely quiet Parkdale morning. Maybe everyone is dead. I'm so glad they're still serving up at Mitzi's." Unfortunately, Mitzi's, which was a very famous cafe, is now closed. I don't know when it closed, 5 or 6 years ago, I think. But pretty famous diner or restaurant or whatever you want to call it in that area. Okay, I think this qualifies, and because this is my video, I'm going to say that it does. Our poet laureate, Leonard Cohen, from his album The Future, which came out in '92, There's a song here called Closing Time, which won Juno for the performance of the year or whatever. Closing Time is a song about literally that. Closing time at a bar after a eventful evening, let's just put it that way. And while it doesn't specifically mention Toronto, the bar that the video was filmed at was called the Matador. The Matador was founded in like 1964, I think. It was originally like a country western bar. Johnny Cash played there. And it evolved into kind of like a late night dance club, bar, music venue kind of thing. Sadly, it closed in 2010, I think. As far as you know, the building's still there and the marquee is still on the front, but it's been long since empty. But we're going to say that this counts because, while it doesn't mention Toronto, it's about a bar, and the bar that it's filmed in, the video, is in Toronto. So I'm saying that qualifies. And Brian likes Leonard Cohen, so there you go. This is a interesting album. This is The Kings, probably the shittiest album cover I've ever seen. This is The Kings Are Here, which came out in 1980. The Kings are a band from Oakville, Ontario, which is just west of Toronto on the lake. My American friends will probably know this because of the song This Beat Goes On, Switch into Glide. It was a double A side, and the songs actually run into each other. It's charted in the US, actually. It was a Bob Ezrin produced song and album. It charted on Billboard for 23 weeks, and it peaked at number 43. When you hear this song, you'll know it. It's a pretty big hit. But the beat goes on part of it. Hey Judy, get Trudy. Said to call you up if I was feeling moody. Hey little Donna, still wanna. Said to ring you up when I was in Toronto. So there you go. Just about, kind of partying it up. Fun song. I'm going to save the best one for last. Whitehorse. I mentioned Luc Doucet a minute ago. Luc Doucet is half of Whitehorse. This is their album from 2015 called Leave No Bridge Unburned. When this album was in production, Luke and Melissa released kind of a standalone single called Boss Man. Not to be confused with another song they did called Big Boss Man, which was on their blues album. Not the same song. Boss Man. Boss Man, which I'll throw a graphic for the single up here. Boss Man was a song about Toronto's infamous mayor, Rob Ford. I'm sure everyone will go, yeah, I remember. He was the crack-smoking mayor for my American friends. He did the late-night talk show circuit. I think he was on Kimmel. He was mayor from 2010 to 2014. Very large man. There was video footage of him smoking crack, and he admitted that, yes, in fact, he did do it. Rob Ford had a lengthy history of substance abuse, alcohol abuse, some domestic disturbances. Colorful individual, to say the least. He died of cancer at the age of 46 back in 2016, I believe it was. Ford was a pretty polarizing guy. Some folks liked him. Other people thought he was a buffoon. I think he was a buffoon. Not to speak ill of the dead, but his actions were his legacy. Nonetheless, Whitehorse put out a song, Boss Man, and it is all about Rob Ford. They have said this is their Rob Ford protest song. I'm going to quote a few of the lyrics. There's one verse here that goes, smoke, 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 smoke 'em if you got 'em. Drive the Escalade to the low, low bottom. Finger on the match, eye on the recorder. Now he's making a run for the Etobicoke border. There's a lot there. Smoke, smoke, smoke. Yeah, you don't need me to explain that. Drive the Escalade. That was his trademark, driving around in his black Escalade. Making a run for the Etobicoke border. Etobicoke is a suburb of Toronto. There's references in the song about the Toronto Star and the Toronto Sun, two of our newspapers, and how they had photographic evidence of some of his unruly behavior. And then the last couple lines here are pretty interesting. Brother, oh brother, pride of their mother, looks out for Junior. Yeah, they watch out for each other. When Rob was mayor, his little brother Doug was a Toronto City Councillor. And I remember there's famous video footage of Doug not agreeing with someone on council and doing a little body check to somebody. Like Doug, even less than Rob. After Rob died, Doug became the Premier of Ontario and still is to this day. Anyway, there's a bunch of songs about Toronto. I hope you enjoyed that, Brian. I hope I dug deep enough for you. Please check out Brian over at Embryonic Robot, my pal. If you've got any songs about Toronto, leave them in the comments. And Americans, it's not Toronto. That's everything from me, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.